Okay.
So Mick, I think that because there's a few people on here that don't know both of us, why don't we just do a little brief intro of how we got here?
Okay. Well, Ellen and I were on a Zoom webinar together, a webinar series of 6 weeks, specifically about the three principles: understanding and physical health, and how it had changed people's experience and their health itself. And during that webinar series, on one of them, I shared an insight that I'd had, which was very helpful. And Ellen reached out to me and wanted to, she was struck by what I had been sharing. And so we started a conversation. And that conversation has now continued since April last year. So we keep having new things to say to each other or to ourselves, or new understandings and new perspectives, both about our physical health and also about the three principles understanding. And so from that, we've started sharing or opening up our conversation to other people, is probably the easiest way I could say it. So it's not like we have any specific expertise or super wisdom, or but this is just an exploration of what we see and what other people have seen as well, or see in their way.
Yeah, we do. I see that we do have expertise in our own lives and the things that we've witnessed in other people. And so in addition to webinars like this, we've done small groups with a handful of people where we're kind of focused on one area of healing, or one area of health, or one direction of healing, health and healing, and where we all get to learn from one another about how we can really experience life and physical symptoms and our relationship with our health so much differently than for sure I did in the past. And I'll just share that I've had experiences with like 3 different autoimmune labels come through, and I've had 3 different experiences with those 3 different, one where the symptoms came and went, and during that time I just had no identification that my body could attack itself, and one just kind of like a total denial, wouldn't even identify, wouldn't even tell my doctor about my symptoms because I didn't want the label that was so obvious to be attached to it. And then the other one, as the symptoms come and go, I just they just come and go like everything else in life. And it's so much less impactful on my life because I know that it's ebbing, my symptoms are ebbing and flowing. And that has just brought so much freedom, and I think less intense, and along the way, maybe less intensity of my symptoms too. So, and I just, I love being in conversation because I love hearing what different people say and what different people see and what different people experience in their own life, because sometimes that wakes me up to something inside of me. So, Mick and I really want to let you know, like, it's not required to participate, but that's kind of why we've opened it up, not just so we can hear ourselves talking to each other all the time, but we really like learning from other people. And I think we wanted to just begin also by, just inviting you to just check in with your body. Is there anything calling right now? You know, and any aware of any symptoms. You know, just take a little mental note of, you know, the level of symptoms or the intensity or how it impacts your life or whatever you see from your current symptoms in the moment. So we'll just pause and allow for a scan of that.
And also as you're doing that, one of the things we wanted to kick off with is your relationship to your symptoms, or to your, if you have a physical challenge, health challenge, or physical ailment of any kind. How would you describe currently your relationship to your body, to your symptoms, to health? What does that word conjure up for you?
Wow, Mick, just that question allowed me to like just instantly reflect on the past 9 months of our conversations and how like desperate I was to get away from my symptoms, to heal my symptoms, to have for having them to go away, for having to be like all of that. Like it was just like that it meant something about me. And, you know, back to the topic of what does love have to do with it? I mean, I knew that love, I was aware, I had an awareness that love was a powerful force in healing. And at the time when I'm in my symptoms, the last thing I want to do is love them, because that feels like that makes them want to stay around. So that's kind of how this conversation went, is, you know, kind of developed for us. And gosh, now I'm just so aware. It's like I can love me and the essence of me going through the symptoms. And I can love the gentle systems kind of as a divine tap on the shoulder, waking me up to see something new, to change something in my life, to go in a direction. And be grateful for when they're little whispers and gentle nudges rather than screaming, yelling pain or agony or intensity. What about for you?
Well, as you're speaking and talking about, you know, that intensity or that feeling of, I don't want to love my symptoms. I mean, it really strikes me as what are we relating to in that relationship? When I go through difficulties with my wife, which is significantly less these days than it used to be, the difficulties would always be to do with a behavior or to do with a way of seeing the world, or some kind of opinion disagreement. And there was never any question of love underneath that. There was never any question for me of the love going away. And if I translate that into physical health and physical health challenges, it strikes me that the symptoms are behavior. The symptoms are the body's behaviors. They're a manifestation of something going on in the body, but that doesn't necessarily mean I have to go to war with my body. It doesn't mean I have to get away from my body. It doesn't mean, because I'm never going to get away from my body. It's a marriage till death us do part.
I love that.
And there's something in there for me. There's something, and Ellen and I were talking earlier today about marriage and the, what's behind, or what can be behind a good marriage. It's like there's a foundation of love. There's a foundation of respect. I was about to say the word commitment, but it's a commitment to something. It's a It's not just a blind commitment to, a vow. It comes from somewhere. And for me, if I relate that to my body, it shifts my relationship to my body, so that I'm no longer, if I think about commitment, I think about love, I think about respect for my body. It shifts an emphasis of trying to get away from something that's painful, and much more to a shared space between this consciousness that I call me and this physical form that I call my body. Anyway, that's where I go with what you just shared, Ellen. Yeah. I don't know if that's yeah.
Yeah. Well, as you were saying that, I was hearing the recordings of and the teachings of Sydney Banks around like all we need is love and understanding. All we need is love and understanding, and discomfort or discord is a lack of love or understanding. So when we have that love and we have a deeper understanding, not of the disease or diagnosis, but a deeper understanding of the only way we experience our symptoms is through thought, and that is where we can have high pain or high level of diagnosis and low suffering or high suffering, that that they're independent of one another. I love when you shared that with me, like a speedometer and a tachometer, or what do you call it in
Yeah, tachometer, rev counter. Yeah,
rev counter, and that you can have high symptoms, but you can still be cruising with the low suffering, and you can have really low symptoms and high suffering. So when we understand that those two components aren't married, that those run independent, then our relationship with our body and with our symptoms can really be different. And so see what other people, go ahead.
Just as I was hearing you say that, I just want to expand on the word thought.
Thank you.
Because thought, in the sense that we're saying it, or the way that it is said it was first said by Sydney Banks, and in this Three Principles understanding, the sense of thought and the body, or the experience of our health, or the experience of our body, or experience of pain, symptoms, on the surface it seems like, well, I'm just feeling it. And yet sensations I mean, it was put very clearly to me one time when I was quite new to this understanding, and I was asking, well, when you feel something, you feel pain or something, what's thought got to do with that? Back to that.
Yeah.
What's thought got to do with it? And he described that if you were hit in the face by anyone, if you were hit in the face, there is a sensation, there would be pain, or punched in the face. If you knew that you had done wrong to that person and that you felt you deserved it, your experience of the pain would be very different, because the thought, or the whole experience is governed, if you like, by that thought. The thought that, oh, I deserve that. If it was someone who came completely out of the blue, the thinking attached to it would be completely different. The thought attached to the feeling would be completely different, and we would have a different experience. He apologized for the example at the time, but for me, it is a very clear that thought always has something to do with it.
And then if you have strong feelings and you get hit in the face by someone that you have strong feelings about, you could have a whole nother experience too, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for bringing that experience, like that story's, here, because it's so relevant to how the same action has multiple different.
Well, the same sensation. Yeah.
The same sensation. Thank you.
Yeah. And the same action. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm curious if anyone has any questions or anything that they want to share, and just remind everyone, like, there's no question that's, you can't get it right, you can't get it wrong, as Michael Neal says, right? There's no, sometimes the simplest questions have like the deepest learnings and insights. So that would look like either a chat box question or a unmute yourself and just start sharing, since we're a small group.
And if not, just Monica.
Hello. Sorry, go ahead.
Hello, Michael. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that 2 years ago I was told I would need a liver transplant. Stage 4 liver disease, and I would have need a liver transplant as well. Don't put me in the group yet, because I'm going up to visit family this summer. I went up to visit my family, and things didn't always go perfectly. We had ups and downs and stuff. But, overall, it was pretty relaxing. And when I came back to the city, they tested me again and said, "You no longer need a liver transplant, because apparently my liver has created some blood vessels that are taking over for the ones that were plugged, that were blocked." So it's like, what was it? It must have been my thought life and what I was doing that helped me to start. And I'm still healing slowly. It's a slow process, but it's coming along. I'm getting more and more in. It looks like my liver's going to recover.
Wow.
And what did I do? I didn't do anything. I just thought. I just visited my family, and that was it.
That's quite a journey.
Yeah.
What a beautiful example of what love has to do with illness.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just reminds me also like the wisdom of the body. Like the body's always seeking balance, homeostasis, healing, that it's always doing that. And when we begin to see our symptoms or test results as, you know, an expression of or a call for love, for me, it just totally changes my experience of what's going on. And I just love that you shared that. Wow. Right, the body is just brilliant. It knows how to breathe. It knows how to swallow. It knows how to circulate blood. It knows how to respirate air. It knows how to create energy. You know, energy. Take new food and turn it into energy. Like it's brilliant, and it does it all on its own. And of course, there's things that we can do to enhance that or get in the way of it. But ultimately, you know, divine mind or universe or whatever you want to call this creator of all, you know, is the ultimate healer. And there's some kind of peace inside of me remembering that it's the ultimate healing is not on me. It's between my soul. I kind of see it as like a soul contract between me and divine mind. So.
No,
Thank you.
The times when I get into trouble, if you like, are when I think it's down to me and I need to do something, and beat myself up for not doing this or not doing that, or and at some point I wake up, usually, that I'm heading in the wrong direction. And for me, the right direction, I mean, there was something beautiful that Michael was saying about going to family. There's something about going in the right direction. I mean, that could be a metaphor for going in the right direction or going in the direction of support and care, loving and understanding.
Mm-hmm. And the place that we come from when we do things, you know, like I really hear that when you went to visit family, because let's just face it, we can visit family with a lot on it, or we can visit family from a place of just, you know, openness, you know, or I can have this immune system tea from a place of fear. Like, I got to drink this because I'm getting on a plane tomorrow and there's all these germs and people and window, you know, like I could drink out of fear. What's that going to do to my immune system versus like, I love my body so much that I'm going to give myself a little immune boost tea before I go and as I travel. There's a huge difference around that. Cheers.
I don't know if people have heard Anita Moorjani's story, where she had very severe cancer. It got worse and worse and worse. Stage 4. She was given 6 hours to live or something. And in the years leading up to that, after she came back from near death, she described the process of leading up to that, where she took every kind of supplement possible and, you know, did all the so-called right things to boost her immune system, and all the best nutrition, all the so-called things to avoid any kind of negativity. And exactly like you're saying, Ellen, once she'd come back the other side, she realized that all of that was from fear. All of that, the energy of that was from fear rather than from love.
Mm-hmm.
So we can do the so-called correct things, and it doesn't necessarily get us the help we would like, or the healing we would like.
Mm. Thank you. Anyone else?
Okay. Well, this is wonderful what happened to Michael. It's just like, I don't know. And I've really got to live there more. Because when he went, it was a disaster for me.
Oh.
I mean, that's the peculiar thing. But then when he came back and is healed, but like, so I'm learning to kind of stand still. Like, we're quite different. Like, we're always, but anyways, I'm trying to become, because if I really listen to him, I hear him different than I think he is. So this is my process of expanding my experience of being in a relationship. We were split for maybe, I don't know, 6, 7 months. And it was peculiar. It's like we don't always know what's going on. I guess that's it. Maybe I'm trying everything to be correct, almost like drinking the right tea, eating the right food, because it looks so incorrect what happened. But it was an experience for me and for him. And now we're back in the relationship. But his going away was what he had to do. And I say, yeah. But that's not the way you're supposed to do it. So I guess it is the learning of me of not being in control or think I know what's going on. I mean, I still got to lead my life and but he's allowed me a lot of individuality in the relationship. We kind of allow that. So we're learning how we're in a small space now of, sharing a space and keeping our own sanity. So there's a lot more quiet. So it's so tempting to argue, but we're so close. I just know where it's going. It's gonna go there. So, what's love got to do with pain? I mean, I was really listening this morning. Like we both had pain last night. He was yelling and screaming, and I had my stuff. And this morning I woke. It used to be if I was in pain, I just get up and move. But lately it's kind of, I don't know, it's different. So I was too tired to get up. But then I said, if you want to feel better, you better get up and just have a bath and go somewhere. But there is the process that I used to think that write things on pleasure and pain. And effortless pain relief talks about when you're in pain, you're not in your body. So those are learning things for me. So for me to turn those feelings and Mike mentioning thought, and the punching in the face. So, it's my reactions to I got a lot of learning to do, but I have reduced my pain considerably by doing Feldenkrais and breath, and I'm doing my classes, which I think I was so sick, but I continued, and it was wonderful yesterday. So I know there's good experience in teaching creativity. Because when she left, I said, well, let's keep exploring. Because I'm teaching drawing, but because I know the principles, it makes it a lot more interest, because then I'm learning, like you mentioned, Ellen, that you learned from your conversations. Well, I asked them to write, we did gesture, which is quick drawing. And I asked them to, because it's part of getting rid of the critic, 15 drawings in 15 minutes. So she appreciated, and she observed that the critic was coming in. And then she just went, because it's about flow, like you just keep moving the pencil. And then when she wrote, she said, there was one point where they were coming in criticizing her brain or whatever. And she decided she was just going to keep with the flow. And by going with the flow, she all of a sudden could draw it. Mm. So that's why I like the classes, because, I mean, I used to say, well, I did drawing because it seemed like with the 3 principles, I needed some physical activity. Like I try to do dancing as well to help me to get out of the intellect. Mm. So drawing was my way of helping me get out of the intellect. So,
Monica, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm really curious about your experience of your own pain that shifted yesterday, and this week. Would you be willing to share that? Because I think that would be really valuable for us.
Well, I was fragile, maybe it was something else, but it was like I was going to quit the classes because I was just so fragile. But I decided I'd go on what I had, pace myself, get prepared before. And I phoned you, which was lovely, because when you spoke to me, you asked me a question, and I came up with acceptance. Mm-hmm. And your voice is very loving and encouraging. So that was really loving that you acknowledged that I had said the right thing. I mean, that's ridiculous, but but that's the way we are, right? So that acceptance might have helped me. Michael, don't run the water, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that nice?
Yeah, and I spoke to a friend, and she talked about the patterns we go into. But I reached out. Because, when you had said you would receive a phone call from me, I thought, oh, gee, I don't know. And I almost canceled. Because I have trouble maybe receiving, who knows, or I can do it on my own. But I didn't, and I am so grateful I didn't cancel, because it was hugely valuable. I mean, it was to keep me on track, even though I'm in pain and discomfort, to keep me on track with still doing my life, which will enhance me, because I could fall back and crawl in a corner.
But what happened yesterday? I'm still I feel like I'm on the edge of my seat. So yesterday you had a lot of pain, and what happened between the beginning of your teaching art and the end of that session with you? What happened with you and your experience with your symptoms?
Well, I was involved in the class. I was quite nauseous, it wasn't just pain. I had a physical nauseous and weakness. I don't know what more to say, except that
And then what happened with those symptoms?
They weren't there.
They weren't there?
Well, I didn't think about them because it was involved in the class. It was involved with other people. I guess it's a distraction. I don't know if you like that word or not, but sometimes it helps. It was pleasant. It was pleasant to be sharing. I mean, I even sent him an email, said, well, I had this physical pain or physical discomfort, but let's just go for it. And he wrote back wonderful or something. Oh, okay. I stayed on track, even though my body was criticizing me for being in a critical mode. I said, oh, it was. Well, I don't know. I didn't really, I suppose that we could talk about feelings, feeling the body when it's in discomfort. and maybe change the feeling. I don't know if you. I
Yeah,
don't.
I think it's simpler than that. What I'm hearing, I mean, we can say, okay, I have pain. I'm going to do something to distract me from my pain. In my experience, sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't, but the focus becomes on getting out of my pain. The focus becomes on a different outcome. Okay? And when I think about I'm going to do something to distract my experience, it's rarely sustainable. It's temporary.
Yeah.
But when I see from this understanding, when I see I can be in my symptoms, I can feel my nausea, I can feel my pain. Like, so I'm in my thinking about my symptoms, or I'm in my life. And Mick, this might be a great time for you, because I love the way you the way you share foreground and background. So symptoms, when we're in our symptoms, they're the foreground of our life. But when we're in the room, they come to the background. Will you talk more about that? Because I love when you share that.
Well, one of the experiences that was very strong for me early on in my Three Principles understanding was people had been saying, or one teacher in particular had been saying, that we can't be made to feel anything we don't think. And because I have a health challenge that I've had since 2001, and most of my adult life have been very involved with physical experience. I was a Tai Chi teacher for many years. So Tai Chi was my meditation on movement and the body. When I heard that we can't be made to feel anything we don't think, I was lying awake one morning with chest pain. I woke up with chest pain. And that phrase, we can't be made to feel anything we don't think, was running around in my system. Not any particular, I wasn't kind of desperate to try and understand it, but I was just reflecting on that in relation to this pain in my chest. And the question came into my head, or occurred to me, what is the thinking involved with this body part? How can my body be thinking, if you like? And something happened, and the reason I bring this up is because it was my first real experience of the foreground background thing, that from being completely focused on this pain, focused on this sensation, by asking myself that question of what has thought got to do with it. It seemed to be off track from what has love got to do with it, but what has thought got to do with this, or my chest? Suddenly, I was in. It was like I was thrown into a space of love. It was like I was thrown into a space of being aware of the whole of my body, of which this sensation was just one very small part. And all the other parts of my body were there for me. There was nothing wrong with those parts. And there was like a communication between all of my body and the chest. And it was no longer such a singular focus. And what became very interesting was the quality of that space of awareness, which you could call love, or you could call healing energy, or you could call care is another word. So that's where I go with. The foreground background is, for me, is the background, and it wasn't something I did. It wasn't something I chose to. Oh, it's again back to that thing. I didn't do loving that part. It was just, it became a space in which I was aware of that part, and this sensation changed.
What I'm hearing is that those words that came to you came from wisdom. They came from mind, and that connected you to the space of love. It's like it wasn't your personal mind evaluating, comparing, contrasting, judging. It was you hearing wisdom. You heard divine energy. It immediately put you in that. And the space of love was the language that you gave to that, because if we're love and we're created by the energy of love, then, and we hear a voice through that, then
there's a
that's what love has to do with.
There's a recognition.
Yeah. I've never seen it that way before now, but.
And also, when Monica was speaking, I mean, I was hearing a lot of wisdom that was coming through in how she was experiencing those things. You know, underneath the personal mind, though, just in the way that she heard the word acceptance, or the way the word acceptance came to her.
And the decision to be in life and to be in creativity and teach her art. I mean, you know, she could have not done that. She could have allowed her personal mind to go, oh, I can't be, well, I don't know. That's what sometimes I do. It's like, well, I can't be meaningful if I'm feeling like crap myself. How can I be a good teacher or share or be present for someone else? But just the opposite happened. Is that helpful, Monica, that what we're sharing?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate.
Good. And so in our, you know, the time just goes by so fast. And in our final 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, anything else that welcome, Michelle, if there's any, it doesn't matter that what you heard and what you didn't hear. If you want to ask any questions or share your experience with what love has to do with pain and illness, or any of the other people that are on the call, on the webinar, we love hearing from you.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Yeah, I was just really listening, so I just I don't even know what to say. It's my first time with you guys on a webinar, but I did have a experience with or what I can see more I resist whatever symptoms I have, more Jay just stick around, you know. So it's the fighting what is, you know, that it just creates more of what you're fighting with. So yeah, and I suffered for many years. I suffered with chronic fatigue, and it's quite tricky because I can see how I have a big, well, I'm aware that all I'm resisting is a feeling. That's all. It's just feeling of tiredness, and that's all there is to it. But for me, somehow I really don't want to feel tired. That's why I feel tired a lot, because I'm just, somehow I'm really stuck in that, you know, I don't want to feel this, I don't want to feel it. So even though I'm aware of it, it just won't, it's not very helpful. But I had it for many years, so I kind of, you know, I kind of learned to live with it and stuff. But I'd love to let go. I'd love to let go of that fighting and having, it's almost like I hate that feeling, you know, I just hate that feeling of tiredness, you know, but it's a feeling as any other feeling. There is no difference between feelings, it's just feelings. But for me, this one is just very, this one I just kind of picked that it's, you know, it's the worst, you know, I just can bear to feel tired, so yeah.
It sounds like there's a lot of meaning has been built up with it.
Yeah, because for many years I didn't really see this, so I really, how can I say this? I really got myself into a place where there was a lot of drama about a feeling of tiredness. So I'm kind of stuck, even though I think most of the time I'm not aware of the drama keeps going in the back of my mind, but as most of our thinking is invisible, you know, sometimes I'm aware of it, but most of the time I'm just not aware of the drama. You just suddenly feel tired and keep drinking coffee, but of course it's not helping. And so I'm just kind of stuck in that vicious cycle. But at the same time, I know it's all coming from the thinking. I'm just really, it's very clear to me, but I don't even see that thinking. I'm not aware of it, you know? It's just, yeah. I got very attached to that drama about, you know, about, oh no, this feeling is just like, it's unbearable, you know. I hate it, and more I hate it, more it sticks. So it's, yeah, it's just a vicious cycle.
Mm-hmm. Until it isn't.
Yeah. But even though I tell myself, well, it's fine, you know, I'm tired, it's no big deal, you know, I still feel tired. I don't know. I had it for more than 10 years. So
I hear how tired you are of being tired. I hear how tired you are of being tired, and how tired you are of the vicious cycle. And yeah. Because sometimes I see the tiredness is like layered thought on top. Like there's fatigue that is in of itself is kind of neutral, and then we layer the, you know, what this means, and I've had this for 10 years, and it just cycles, and I don't want it, and I want it to go away, and yeah.
Just lately I realized how there is so much, how I just really hate it, you know, like that, the heavy feeling, the heavy thinking about, oh, I just hate it. I can't bear to feel it anymore, you know, so, yeah. But on the other hand, I had moments where it totally, when I kind of surrendered to it, it happened to me maybe 2 or 3 times during those 10 years. And I felt so much energy, and I felt so great. I even forgot how it feels to have energy and just feel normal, you know, because I feel like I'm abnormal all the time because I'm tired all the time. So when I had those moments where I didn't feel tired and I had a lot of energy, I was kind of freaking out. I was like, what? This is just, I didn't know how to, you know, it was so, I didn't know how how to be in that or how to be with that. So the tiredness just came back because this was just that was just so strange, you know. I didn't know what to make of it. It's like, I don't feel tired, you know. So I just fell back into that tiredness. So yeah, it's almost like I'm keeping myself there for some reason, you know.
Well, sometimes things that are familiar, even that, you know, it's not like we like it or want it. Just that it's like just a familiar. It's like a habit. It's just a thought habit.
Mm.
And gosh, it would be fun if we had time to explore more about the feeling, because that feeling that you talked about when you were free of that. You know, your voice changed, your energy changed, just talking about that experience, like things change. And what I see is, for myself and the clients I work with, is that when we have a break from symptoms and then they come back, we just make that mean something.
Mm.
Rather than seeing it's all temporary. And even in the consistency of daily pain or daily fatigue, like, there is variability. And when you start looking at the variability, it's amazing how much wider the lens of life looks, rather than just seeing daily pain or daily fatigue or daily symptoms. We had someone on a webinar who had, you know, constant pain, never relieved. And just in a conversation like this, she became aware of, oh my gosh, I don't have it when I meet my friend for coffee. It was like she was so habituated to her thinking about her symptoms. And then in a follow-up conversation, she forgot about the other times that she didn't experience it. So I find it fascinating. Mick, is there anything that you want to add before we read the comment in the chat box?
Well, just a little bit. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Ellen and I were having a conversation earlier, where I mean, for me, sometimes the trap is thinking about cure, and that can set up an expectation, or it can set up its own thinking. It can set up its own
path, its own trajectory.
Its own trajectory and its own package of thinking, which it's like nothing gets seen outside of that trajectory, or nothing gets experienced like those times for that woman when she was pain-free. She didn't see them because it wasn't within the trajectory. And for me, the difference between cure and healing is there's something in there. Or the healing of our experience, the healing of our, when we are more graceful with our experience, then we go more gracefully through the ups and downs, or through the turbulence, or the difficult symptoms. But when we're looking for cure, then I think that in itself keeps us tied. inextricably tied to the problem. Yeah. Or it you know, it remains a problem.
Yeah, definitely there is that wanting to, yeah, do something about it, to fix it and
Be
stuff,
done with it. Be done.
or just get rid of it.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
And
But
that's obviously natural. I mean, it's, you know, I can be the same. It's like, you know, I can be very much the same with my,
We have been, and we've shared those moments too, haven't we?
enough already.
Yeah. I'm done.
because it feels like a big part of my life. It's like a story, a big, you know, it's been happening for many years, and
Yeah.
it almost feels like I live, you know, like I keep being under the water all the time. Like I'm not able to just, you know, get out and breathe, because I'm just being pushed down and just being that kind of weird state where I'm just exhausted all the time. And yeah, and it's a story, you know. It's just, that's, you know,
I love what you're saying about, I'm sorry.
yeah, it's like a big thing I have to deal with. Even though I'm aware I'm doing this, I'm not able to just, you know, just let go of this, trying to fix it, you know.
Yeah, I love what you said about being pushed underwater, because I know Bill Pettit talks a lot about, like, you know, like the beach ball that you push underwater, like it is resilient. It naturally bounces back, and the only thing that pushes it down is thought. The only thing that pushes, and it's hard to keep something underwater that naturally comes back to the surface and knows it's okay. And knows there's innate well-being regardless of any feeling, sensation, experience in life. So I just want to invite you to, if you want to continue the conversation with either one of us, please reach out to us on Facebook or email, or find us. And that goes for anyone. We love continuing. And do you want to read, or do you want me to read Kine's message?
I don't mind. I'll read.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kine just wanted to share to everyone, I feel like sharing this webinar makes me think a lot about my past and all of the pain I have experienced. The pain made me hate my body more and more. I hated my body that gave me so much pain, but now I have a totally different experience of pain. I acknowledge that it is there, and I am grateful for what I have been through. It sounds strange, but I don't feel sorry for myself anymore. By giving myself love, the anger and shame slowly disappear. I can have a low mood, but I don't stop loving myself and my body. Lately, I have been working with people who have eating disorders, and I see the self-hatred so clearly. It makes me think love is the answer.
So beautiful, Kine. Thank you so much. And what a beautiful place to end for today. And before we do, though, we just invite you to, you know, take a moment, check inside with yourself, and just see. In the beginning, we asked you to check inside and just scan your body for symptoms or your level of energy, and just see what's present now.
Okay, I just had something to say for a moment, if I could.
Yeah, please.
Okay, and it has to do with what I talked about earlier, is that my liver's recovering slowly, way too slowly. I'm one of those people that like to have lots of energy, but I'm tired all the time. Some days I'm so exhausted I can't even get up for the day, kind of thing. But I also have days when I have good energy, at least for a few hours. And and those are happening more frequently. And I just see that as, I'm not thinking about the future so much as I'm seeing what's occurring right now, which is I'm healing. I'm in the process of, and just kind of being an observer of that is really, really nice. And it's really it makes me feel a lot less difficult, I hope, and more loving.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I'm so glad you shared that with us. Thank you so much. And Mick, do you want to share what's next for us?
Well, the next one of these we will be doing, we could carry on with what's love got to do with it ad infinitum, because we would never get tired of that topic. But we decided to do a new topic for the next webinar. And we'll also do one on a Thursday night and one on a Sunday night like we did this time. And the topic we decided to play with is called Where's Wisdom When You Need It? So we thought that
again around health, around physical health. Yeah. Because it seems like it is complete. It can feel like it's completely absent when we're in our experience instead of in the room. So the next one will be Sunday, February 3rd. And the one we'll post it on Facebook again. And then one after that is
14th.
The 14th. Yep. Oh, so February 14th, that's Valentine's Day in the US. It's in the morning. Does that impact the rest of the world?
Everywhere. Everywhere's in love.
Everywhere's in love. We should have done Where's Love When You Need It on Valentine's Day. Yeah, so
well,
that'll be
fun. Pretty close.
Yeah, that'll be fun to explore. Where's wisdom when you need it? I had a really powerful experience about that I look forward to sharing. So that's what we're up to, and we look forward to hearing from anyone, everyone, and for those of you that are listening to the recording, we just we're open to hearing from you too.
And I'm just going to unmute everyone if you'd like to say goodbye.
It's okay if you have background noise, Tina.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you for being with us. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.